Next one, French.
Oh, French is interesting because when you say French classical music, the first composer I think of is Debussy and Ravel. I feel like they're sort of quintessentially French. But Debussy was famous for being influenced by the Gamelan Orchestra from Indonesia. And in classical music, Debussy is also known as a composer who, we have this idea about, it's called, I don't know if you're familiar with so-called tonal music versus atonal music or something like that. Tonal music, it's the idea that there's sort of the music is based on tension and resolution.
Okay.
And at the end of the piece, everyone in the concert the concert hall, they can feel, you've come back to the harmony that is the home key. Like we feel, it's resolved. And if they don't do that, you feel, I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah.
And what Debussy is part of what Debussy did is he took that element out of the music, so that his music is not, depends on the piece, but a lot of his pieces is he uses harmonies not necessarily to create hierarchy of harmonies between like the tension here and the resolution here, but it's just for the sake of sound. This is kind of the ethos of so-called impressionistic music. So it's just the sound that matters. So if I have a chord that has a lot of tension, I might just play another chord that has a lot of tension, and then another and another and another. And there is no resolution. And after a while, that creates a new context or a context where you say, okay, my ear does not desire the resolution because I'm in a different context. We don't have this hierarchy of tension and resolution. I'm kind of oversimplifying it. But I'm interested because that, I think from Indonesian Gamelan Orchestra, a lot of it is just about the sound rather than, there's still a narrative in the music, but instead of having like a beginning, middle, and end, it's more just like staying in one place. Like it's sort of that, it has that, sometimes I think about, the music that is more about being, and then a narrative music, like a lot of European music, that's not French or German music, for example. A lot of it is about, sort of becoming. It's about story. It's about beginning, middle, and end. And there's something that happens. Whereas in a sort of a gamelan orchestra or even these French music, it's more about, well, not exactly stasis, but just being in a certain state and not necessarily trying to achieve something or go to some other state. It's just about that state, and that's it.
That's very interesting. French and Indonesian, there's a state of being. Oh, that's amazing.
Well, so the other thing, it goes into these questions about sort of musical appropriation. On the one hand, I think all of the history of music is a chain of people influencing other people. But when a composer in France hears music from Indonesia and starts composing music, and then everyone says, well, that's French music. Like, well, yeah, it's French. But when you put that political spin on it, it's like, yeah, it's French. It became French. Lots of French composers write like that. And then, of course, it influenced many composers that are not French to also write like that.
Yeah.
But where's the source? Like, where do you sort of start your story? Maybe it's Indonesian aesthetic that's now being presented as a French aesthetic. I say that to be provocative, but I think that's.
I don't want hate mail coming in.
I know.
People from France are not going to send me emails. I'm going to forward it to you.
I know, that's fine. I'll take responsibility.